She wakes up early Monday morning and drags her bones out of bed and goes across to the mirror to see the image in her head. Oh, this town she lives in has got her back against the wall. Oh, this town she lives in has given her nothing at all.
Right, good morning, welcome back. Now, first of all, I've got to say a heartfelt thank you for your amazing comments on the paintwork. Thank you so much. I absolutely love it. It is exactly what I wanted. It is precisely what I planned for the bike, and I couldn't be more happy with it. Now, you may have noticed, if you've been following the paint project through, what a monstrous task it is to get to a flawless finish at the end. Every single stage in the process has a bearing on the next. Not at any point can you afford to say, oh, that'll do, I'll move on to the next stage, because it will show in the next stage, and it will show even more in the next stage, and of course it will show in the finished product. And who wants that? So it has to be perfect every step of the way, right the way through the process. And that's what takes the hours, and therefore that's what costs the money when you take your bike to be painted at a professional paint shop. But today isn't about the paint, it's about doing something effective with these chrome shiny studs that the Heritage Softail is so well known for. Now, some of you said in a previous video, when I mentioned that I was going to dechrome the fenders and take all the furniture off and the extra bling, you said, hang on, it's a Heritage. That's part of a Heritage Softail. It's meant to be there. I get you. You have a point. I completely agree. But I want to bring mine up to a more modern look. And studs in leather, well, that's been a thing since about the 1950s. It's very iconic, but it is a little dated 75 years on. So I would like to bring my Heritage Softail in line with a little bit more of the 2020s Heritage Softail. Take a look at how the factory now does studs on the saddlebags. As you can see, the studs are gone in favour of these little rectangular blocks in a dotted pattern, and they look quite cool, and obviously in the same colour as the rest of the bags. They don't stand out as much. They've de-blinged them and made them a little bit more angular. So I think I'm not wrong in removing the studs. It will follow the factory's design evolution and hopefully bring my bike into a much more modern look. Oh, and before anyone states the obvious, yes, naturally I could go out and buy a pair of seats and panniers that have got no studs in and just bolt them on. Easy, but ferociously expensive, and I haven't got the money for that. Plus, this rider seat is insanely comfortable and I'd like to keep it. So today I'm going to focus on just the rider seat. I've got a few cool ideas, and if it comes off, then I'll do it to the rest of the parts as well. All right, I've managed to hoik one of these studs out. So here's a quick look at what they actually are. There's not much to them. And a shiny dome on the outside. Let me spin it over. You can see it's hollow. Just a little piece of stamped out tin with a couple of sharp spikes to hold it in place. So it shouldn't be difficult to remove, just got to be gentle and patient. Now fortunately, the studs in this rider seat are applied to a thick harness leather skirt that fits all the way around the back. As you can see there, I can get onto the inside of them, which is handy, and without actually affecting the seat. Now we'll make a start on the starboard side, where there was already a couple missing, and I reckon all I need for this is a screwdriver. Work the screwdriver in underneath, like that, and wiggle sideways. And there it goes. They're so flimsy, and these little metal spikes are so thin, they just give up. Pull out. There, now in my personal opinion, an immediately better look straight away. Very happy with that. Now obviously 17 years of dust and grime underneath everyone. That's going to need properly cleaning and leather feeding, but we can do all that at the end. Next, let's do one of the pannier bags, then we can put them side by side and compare them to see what they look like. Now, I think we all know and we all agree that looks and appearances are purely subjective. It's all in the eye of the beholder and there are no rights or wrongs. But in the eye of this particular beholder, that is a far improved look. I'm very happy with the all black look of the bags with just the chrome badge in the center. I think that is perfect. So all that leaves to do is take all the studs out of the remaining bag and then we can start restoring the leather itself. All right, there we are, all the studs gone. And as I've already said, 17 years of dust and grime underneath them. So it needs cleaning off thoroughly and the leather itself needs moisturizing for reasons I'll state a little bit more detail at the end. Here are some leather care products. You use what works for you. Other products are available. I'm just going to get busy and make these look as good as they can. All right, now a little bit of leather care cream just to moisturize and nourish the leather and hopefully bring it back to its new condition. Right, now I'm not a leathersmith, don't propose to know much about leather to be honest, but I did learn a valuable lesson once from a lady who used to sew patches onto jackets and whatnot, and she explained something to me that is useful to this day, and that is that leather itself can be self-healing if you treat it right and know how to process it. Now what she explained to me is that like any skin, leather can dry out and crack, and if you moisturise it, it will puff up and be rejuvenated. We all know that. But what she made clear was that if you take your leather care product and actually work it into the holes that you get left behind from stitching on patches or from spikes, from studs, that sort of thing, and when you work the leather into those holes, you leave it in there like a little reservoir, and effectively that works over a period of time and it absorbs into the leather. The hole itself puffs up and closes, becomes almost invisible, and at the same time it's water resistant, and it carries on working over time. Right, there we are, all 3 pieces done and absolutely over the moon. But there were 4 pieces, I hear you cry. What about the pillion seat? Well, I have a cunning plan for that, because the studs in the pillion seat will not come out like they did from the bags and the front seat. Because the pannier bags here and the skirt around the back of this rider seat are made from 4mm thick harness leather, and it does no harm whatsoever pulling the studs out. But on the pillion seat, it's made from a thin vinyl, like any normal seat vinyl, and pulling the studs out will just tear a hole in them. And even if I took the cover off, lifted the little pins out the way and pulled them out gently, the holes that are left behind would be likely to rip in the course of time. So the plan with the rear seat is to just replace it completely with one that has no studs, and I've already got it on order. So that will be here, ready for the next video, where we will assemble all of this onto the bike, and then we can draw a line under the Softail project, call it done, and get ready to wheel the next project onto the lift. So thank you for watching, take it easy, ride safe, and I'll see you next time.
Pavement strewn with memories. Try and grasp at her feet.